People in Belarus are getting ready for a big election on Sunday. Some are even voting early. But will their vote count? A lot of experts are already calling this a sham election, saying, I'm quoting here, that Europe's longest dictator is about to get another term, and he didn't earn it. NBC's Yasmin Vossoughian explains in tonight's breakdown.
Right now, early voting is happening in Belarus, where a crucial election will happen this weekend. The country, the European Parliament says, is now run by, quote, Europe's last dictator. We're talking about President Alexander Lukashenko. He's seeking his 7th term in office, expected to win again in a vote that many Western democracies are already calling illegitimate. Lukashenko says that the more he is stirred by these accusations, the more inclined he is to run and do what's necessary for Belarus. Lukashenko even moving the election up from the summer to now. Some political analysts saying this move is because cold weather will discourage mass protests and dissent of his election. How the world reacts to Sunday's election could set a new tone, especially with the new Trump administration as they look to end the war in Ukraine because of Belarus's close ties to Russia and Russian President Vladimir Putin. From the outside, Lukashenko's grip on power seems steady, but the streets tell a different story. The last election in 2020, massive protests and a violent response from the government. But it wasn't always like this. Lukashenko, first elected in 1994, 3 years after the Soviet Union collapsed. Then, his election, a symbol of a new era, despite maintaining close ties with Russia and Putin once he took power.
Russia and Belarus signed a treaty back in the late 90s that stipulated the creation of what they call the Union State. They're equal on paper.
Lukashenko, for his part, cracking down on journalists and censoring non-state-owned media and political opposition. In 2004, a referendum was passed to remove term limits, clearing the path for him to stay in power. A congressional report now estimating a few 100,000 people have fled the country since 2020, including the opposition leader from the 2020 election.
Belarusian people haven't given up in our fight for freedom, and despite all the repressions that are continuing for years already, people continue to fight.
Now the new face of the opposition movement behind bars, along with over 1,000 political prisoners, according to a U.S. congressional report. But in an unexpected move in the past couple of months, Lukashenko pardoned over 100 prisoners.
He's creating himself a maneuver space to be able to have some rapprochement with the West.
Lukashenko possibly looking for support from President Trump amidst the administration's approach on Ukraine and Lukashenko's ongoing support for Moscow. We've reached out to the White House for comment, but have not yet heard back. And this weekend's election critical to the country's future.
Yasmin actually joins us right now. And Yasmin, this may be impossible to know. How is Belarus feeling about the new president, the new Trump administration?
Well, I mean, I think, you kind of heard it there in the piece, Tom, whereas Lukashenko is essentially cracking down on journalists, on dissidents, on opposition as well. So many Belarusians feel as if they're living in a police state, not unlike folks that are living right now inside Russia as well. Of course, Belarus's main ally, Russian President Vladimir Putin, they were hoping, of course, between the war in Ukraine, that there was a possibility that with Western help, Ukraine could topple Russia, meaning topple Putin, and then subsequently topple Lukashenko. Instead now, with the dawn of the Trump administration looking to strike a deal and end the war, they're seeing likely Putin's power grow, which means, of course, Lukashenko's power will grow as well. And I just want to remind folks, as we saw images there as well, back in 2020, he declared winning that presidential election with 80% of the vote. The people inside Belarus, they said no way. They flooded the streets. The European Union as well, not accepting those results. And so certainly he is likely to win this weekend, but a lot of Belarusians inside that country not happy about it, Tom.
And it may be one reason why he hasn't put troops in Ukraine, right? I mean, he's afraid of backlash from his own military and his own people.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah. Yasmin, thanks very much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.